Hi guys, Ben from BensGameTime here. And if there's something that I like but don't think about often, it's pinball.
Pinball is an arcade staple, but nowadays it's gotten harder to find a place to play it. Some large chains like Dave & Buster's will have either one or two or even no pinball machines, and they've also gotten harder to find in places like movie theaters and bowling alleys. Your best bet to find a pinball machine now is to find an independently run arcade that has them, but those are also hard to come across because of those large arcade chains. No joke, an old school arcade was supposed to open here near my house, and they had everything set up, but they never opened it. Like, what the hell? I would have come here every week.
Luckily for me, there are some options around me if I ever get the urge to play pinball or other arcade classics, but what about somebody that just lives in an area without any pinball machines near them? Well, for them, there's Pinball Hall of Fame, the Gottlieb collection for the GameCube. Is it a good way to get your pinball fix? Let's find out.
Okay, so full disclosure, I'm not good at pinball in any capacity. I just like to play it on the occasion that I run into a machine. Pinball Hall of Fame The Gottlieb Collection features 7 pinball machines that range in age from the 50s up to the 90s. Each table features a goal to be reached on the table, which unlocks a extra upon completion, historical notes about the table and its creation, instructions on how the table should be played in terms of goals and bonuses, and an advertisement flyer for the pinball machine. These are nice features that I think any pinball enthusiast would appreciate. As for the gameplay, the controls are a little strange. L and R control the flippers, which makes perfect sense, while B turns on and off the score display, and Y changes the camera, in case you want a more cinematic experience. Where things get weird is that the C stick launches the ball, which kinda makes some sense when you consider this game was also on the PS2, which had a dual stick controller, so the C stick would be the right stick in this instance, but still odd for typical GameCube standards. As for the left thumbstick, it causes the machine to tilt, which stops play and kills your ball.
So, what's the point of having this as a feature in game? Why would you have a control that just kills your ball? You can't tilt on any pinball machine, so this just seems kind of backwards to me.
Playing the game is straightforward, as it's what you'd expect out of pinball. Just try to keep the ball alive and in play. However, this game has an issue of balls just becoming unplayable after you launch it. It doesn't happen too much, but it's just super annoying when it does. Besides that, the only other issue with the gameplay is that the ball seems to have less weight than it should, as it just kind of floats around and doesn't carry the same impact you'd expect it to. It's hard to explain, but basically, in real pinball, the ball tends to hit off the bumpers and flippers with more force than it does in game, making for a more floaty and slower game. Moving on to the machines themselves, each is fairly different to the others in game. First is Big Shot, a billiards themed machine. The gimmick of this one is to hit the side targets and the center 8 ball target to get large points bonuses. Overall, it's a pretty standard game, but it's still fun. Next is Black Hole, which is one of the more unique games in the collection. This game features a lower level playfield with an included way to get a multi-ball. Getting to the lower area or earning the multi-ball can be tricky, but there isn't really anything else like this in the whole collection, so it's worth a try. The only other thing I can say about it is that you can lose your ball when it exits the lower level if you don't hit enough targets, which is kinda harsh for a bonus area. Next is Ace High, which actually rewards losing balls. You heard me right, losing balls is a good thing on this machine, but it needs to be done in a certain way. Past the flippers are slots to lose the ball, as standard in pinball, but each corresponds to a suit that activates when the ball goes through them. When a suit gets activated, one of the bumpers at the top of the machine lights up, and hitting the bumper will then give 10 times the points, 100,000 instead of the usual 10,000. There are also 2 holes near the bumpers that you can lose your ball in, and these give large point bonuses, half a million for the dark hole and a full million for the lit one. The other main feature of this machine are the 3 card targets. Hitting each one or the same one 3 times, then entering the holes near the top rewards free plays. You can earn free plays on every machine in the collection, but Ace High specifically is made to give you a lot. While this is a cool feature, it just doesn't make sense in video game format. I can already play these games as much as I want already, and each free play is a completely new game from the last, so it's not like I'm racking up more points by getting the free plays. A great idea for the actual machine, but it just doesn't translate well to a video game. The next game is Genie, and this game rewards with larger and larger point bonuses for each target hit. Hitting or rolling over pretty much anything adds on to the end of ball bonus. This is also the only wide body machine in the collection, which means nothing to me as a very casual fan of pinball, but I guess that just means that it's a larger machine. Either way, it's a nice machine, but not my favorite. Next is Central Park, and the main draw of this one is the numbered targets. You activate different numbers by rolling over different areas or hitting the numbered targets next to the bumpers. Having more numbers activated rewards more points given from hitting the bumpers or the tree targets in the middle of the machine. The biggest problem I have with this machine is that the middle is super wide and the flippers are very small, making it really easy to lose your ball. Apparently, you have to be good at nudging for this machine, but I have no idea what that means. The fuck is nudging?
So nudging is slightly moving the pinball machine so the ball will move to a target or away from danger and is a commonly used maneuver when playing pinball. So I guess it's okay to just move the pinball machine slightly while you play. I didn't know that. I thought all movement was bad and considered a tilt.
So, how do you nudge in game? Well, as it turns out, the control stick is how you nudge, but you need to do it in a precise way. To nudge, you need to move the control stick just slightly, like if you were trying to walk slowly in a Mario game. Moving the stick the entire way is what causes a tilt.
How's anyone supposed to know that? I didn't even know nudging was a thing until just now, and there are no instructions in-game about how to play. Most people, including myself for a while, would just assume to never touch the control stick, but it's essential to play the game. Imagine being a kid trying to play this game. They wouldn't even have a clue about it.
Nudging can be useful in some instances, like trying to hit the lit up bumpers in Ace High, but even with nudging, Central Park is still not that great of a pinball machine. Alright, next we've got Teed Off. Yeah, I guess you could say I'm a little teed off after playing Central Park. This pinball machine has 3 different targets that represent 9 holes of golf. You need to get all 9 holes, and then you'll be able to take on one of the bonus tasks, each being different from the others. The task you receive is random, and once one is completed, it is completed for the game. There are a whole bunch of other bonuses and targets to go for, and it can sometimes be a little overwhelming to a casual pinball fan like myself, especially considering I just learned about nudging. The last pinball machine in the collection is Victory, a racing themed game. Here you need to hit 7 checkpoints in order and then cross the finish line. There's not much else to it other than that, but it's a fun pinball machine nonetheless. Now, included in this game are some bonus games that you can unlock by beating the goals of each pinball machine. Playboy is the closest to pinball that these bonuses get, but it's more like a pachinko machine. Here you get 10 balls which you try to get into different card slots to build up your score. The better the cards, the more points you get, with the joker off to the side being worth the most. Oddly enough, tilt is allowed in this game, allowing you to more easily get the cards you want. There's also a payout mode available where you can bet money on games of poker and blackjack. These games play as you would expect. You get the best hand in poker and don't go over 21 in blackjack. Tilt is still allowed in this mode, so you're basically guaranteed to win, but it's still a great change of pace from the rest of the game. Next is the Love Meter, an old arcade staple. It works exactly as advertised, it's just a love meter. And it's looking like mine's pretty mild, so let's move on. Last is Zoltan, the fortune teller. Here you select your astrological sign and the topic you want your fortune to be about. The love meter didn't think too highly of my love life, but let's ask Zoltan what he thinks.
Forget about it. Your heart will be broken.
Okay, but what about the off chance that I have kids? How will they turn out?
Your children will disappoint you, then ignore you.
Alright, how about we wrap this up?
Pinball Hall of Fame, the Gottlieb collection, will mean different things for different people. Pinball fans will probably enjoy the game for the variety of machines and the historical notes and flyers to look at. As for myself, someone who isn't stoked about pinball, the game is just okay. The pinball machines range from good to alright to Central Park. If I had to pick a favorite, I would say it's Playboy, as it felt the most like a game to me. But out of the 7 main pinball machines, I would give it to Ace High. That one's pretty fun. As for least favorite, obviously it's Central Park. It will always be Central Park. But this game is quite enjoyable for the most part, and it even taught me more about pinball that I wouldn't have learned about otherwise. The game isn't perfect, especially considering how they don't have instructions in-game about how to play, which would have been helpful in learning how to nudge, but I'd say there's something here for everyone. I give this game 5 pinball machines out of 8.